This is a Trident Disabilities audio archive recording, illustrating Carnival, remembering the overlooked artist behind early Mardi Gras by Allison C. Mayer, published February 7, 2018, read by a Trident Disabilities volunteer. For more than 150 years, in the city of New Orleans has been known for the theatricality and extravagance of its Mardi Gras celebrations. Allison C. Mayer looks at the wonderfully ornate float and costume designs from Carnival's golden age and the group of New Orleans artists who created them. Following this is an image of a costume designed with a head like a human, with a body like a spider, and the hands held up and one of them holding an umbrella back. The caption for this reads, "Spider costume designed by Charles Britton for the Missing Links theme, Mystic Crew of Comus. 1873, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." On March 6, 1889, the New York Times breathlessly reported on the recent carnival spectacles in New Orleans. The crew of Rex's pageant, themed around the treasures of the earth, included a crystal float attended by figures in gorgeous costumes and prisms by the thousand, and a diamond float featuring a rocky diamond dell through which flowed limpid streams where nymphs sported and played with the gems. The crew of Proteus, meanwhile, dazzled with their Hindu heavens pageant, where one scene appeared Agni, god of fire, riding a ram that strides the flames, attended by the fire spites. This opulent and highly extaticized interpretation of South Asian religion concluded with the tableau where Vishnu, under the guise of a horse with silver wings, shatters the earth with his hoof and rises to the celestial abode. The modern American Mardi Gras owes much of its bombastic revelry to this late 19th century golden age of carnival design. From the invitations to the costumes to the hand fans carried by spectators, artists designed entire identities for each crew, a group that organizes a carnival event. Carnival, in its accumulating day of festivities, Mardi Gras, was brought to Louisiana by the French in the late 17th century. Mardi Gras, as it's celebrated today, is often linked to the Mystic Crew of Comus, an Anglo-American group which in 1857 organized a debut parade themed the demon actors in Milton's Paradise Lost. It was a departure from previous carnivals that were more informal and tied to the Roman Catholic community. Following the Civil War, new crews emerged, and each attempting to outdo the others, with increasingly elaborate wood and papier-mâché designs pulled by teams of horses. One year it might be medieval legends coming to life on the streets, the next flying monkeys of Chinese mythology terrorizing the crowds. Below this is two images, the first one containing a parade float with four figures on it emerging from the fires, one of which is riding a horse surrounded by rocks. The caption for this reads, "Bayard Escapes from Mount Volcanus" by Carlotta Bonacase, by the Legends of Middle Ages, themed Crew of Proteus, 1888, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University. Below this is a figure holding a bow and arrow and has wings and legs like a bird, but has scales and a face like a lizard. And the caption for this reads, "Asuri," costume designed by Carlotta Bonacase by the Myths and Worships of the Chinese theme, Crew of Proteus, 1885, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University. The city developed a carnival aesthetic that blended popular carnival tradition with the artistic currents of the late 19th century, writes Reed Mitchell in the 1995 book, All on Mardi Gras Day, Episodes in the History of New Orleans Carnival. The latter contributed largely to the carnival's Orientalism. Carnival, with its costumes, processions, tableau, and ball masks of the late 19th century, love a fantasy of exoticism. Mythology, literature, religion, and history, as well as 19th century book illustration and turn-of-the-century Art Nouveau, were remixed into an eclectic excess. Up to the early 1900s, the main crews were Rex, Comus, Proteus, and Momus, each with their favorite artist collaborators. The names of these individuals are now obscure, but artists Jenny Wild, Bora Anders Wilkstrom, Charles Britton, Carlotta Bonacase, and others, now anonymous, all influenced the embrace of the fantastic that endures into the present. The greatest publicly accessible resource of their art is in the Carnival Collection, part of the Louisiana Research Collection. LARC, at the Tulane University and supported by a bequest from the late journalist Charles L. Pye Dufour. In 2012, Tulane marked the completion of a 2-year digitalization project that put over 5,500 float and costume designs into the Carnival collection online. Following this is 2 images. The first one is the image of a parade float with hummingbirds going over the top and leaves at the bottom, with 6 figures in the middle, each representing a different animal. And the caption for this reads, "At Home Dancing." Float designed by Carlotta Bonacase for the Dumb Society theme, Crew of Protus, 1896, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University. Below this is an image of a scorpion human with 2 pincers and a tail, wearing a crown that goes high on its head. The caption for this reads, "Scorpion costume designed by Charles Britton for the Missing Links theme, Mystic Crew of Comus, 1873, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." These watercolor and ink drawings were intended to be ephemeral. Some have visible pinholes from being tacked on the wall by costume makers in Paris, and thus not all were saved. Due to their delicate nature, they're also rarely on view. Through April 1st, the New Orleans Museum of Art is exhibiting selections from the Carnival collection in Brewer Anders Wickstrom, bringing fantasy to Carnival. Although his name is carved right on the frieze of the museum's facade, including in a litany of American art luminaries like Whistler, Audubon, and Copley, it's likely few visitors are familiar with the Swedish immigrant, bringing fantasy to Carnival. Features a full set of the 20 floats he designed for the Crew of Protus, 1904, the Alphabet Parade, with D for Dragon, carrying knights fighting a red, purple, and green beast, and U for Unicorn, featuring 3 one-horned white horses riding a rainbow. Below this is the 2 pictures of each example of the float made. The first one features a dragon hovering with 3 figures around it, the first 3 being knights trying to destroy the beast, with a tree in the background and a floating mass of land below. The caption for this reads, "D for Dragon float designed by Brewer Anders Wickstrom for the Alphabet theme, Crew of Protus, 1904, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." The image below this one features 3 unicorns with 4 figures, each riding a separate unicorn on the clouds with a rainbow in the background. This one reads, "U for Unicorn float designed by Brewer Anders Wickstrom for the Alphabet theme, Crew of Protus, 1904, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." Wickstrom came to New Orleans in 1883. A painter of maritime scenes inspired by his time as a sailor, he was an active member of the local arts community, helping to found the New Orleans Artists Association that was influential in the opening of the New Orleans Art Museum in 1910. His extremely imaginative illustrations are transporting in their detail, whether the battling tiger lilies with actual tigers leaping from blossoms and anthropomorphized cacti fending them off from the 1898 A Trip to Wonderland, or the full Egyptian-style temple for the crowning of the pharaoh scene in the 1903 Cleopatra Parade. Below this is those 2 examples of floats, with the first image being with cactus people in the background fighting the soldiers and natives, with 2 of those figures protecting the cactuses, while the other 3 are fighting against it. The caption for this reads, "Tiger Lilies in Battle, float designed by Brewer Anders Wickstrom for the A Trip to Wonderland theme, Crew of Protus, 1898, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." Below this one features a throne in ancient Egypt on a float, recreating the scene in which Cleopatra was crowned and argued with. There are 6 figures on the stage, with one of them being Cleopatra on her throne. The other ones are all fighting against her for her role. The caption for this reads, "Crowning of the Pharaoh, float design by Brewer Anders Wickstrom for the Cleopatra theme, Crew of Protus, 1903, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." Of course, artists could sketch any dream they wanted. Building it was another thing. Comparing the illustrations to historic photographs online at the Louisiana Digital Library, it's evident that there were some concessions to making a float the horses could actually navigate through the crowds. Yet the early parades transformed into otherworldly revelries at night, when flambeau carriers, a dangerous role traditionally given to black men, illuminated the darkness with fire. Then the warm, quavering light of the flames gave the fabricated demons, dragons, fairies, and gods a convincing glow. Wickstrom started as an assistant to a fellow Swedish immigrant, Charles Britton. Britton arrived in New Orleans in 1865 and worked for a time with lithographer Emile Bauer, eventually devoting his artistic talents to Carnival. While he designed floats, invitations, and all other crew materials, his costumes are the most ingenious. His 1882 ancient Egyptian theology illustrates for the crew of Proteus morphing participants into a hieroglyphic adorned Horus and Anubis. In the 1873 missing links for Comus metamorphosized humans into beetles, coral polyps, ears of corn, grasshoppers, and leeches. Below this is 5 images of each of those items just discussed. The first one being a beetle human carrying an axe with the caption "Beetle costume designed by Charles Britton for the Missing Links theme, Mystic Crew of Comus, 1873, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." Below this is a human of a coral polyp with a wide afro hair carrying a horn stick to the ground. The caption for this reads, "Coral polyp costume designed by Charles Britton for the Missing Links theme, Mystic Crew of Comus, 1873, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." Below this is a human morphed into a corn of a cob with green legs and green arms and a yellow head. The caption for this reads, "Corn costume designed by Charles Britton for the Missing Links theme, Mystic Crew of Comus, 1873, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." Below this is a grasshopper morphed human carrying and playing a violin. The caption for this reads, "Grasshopper costume designed by Charles Britton for the Missing Links theme, Mystic Crew of Comus, 1873, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." Below this is a bat costume human with wide wings, with a rope around its waist, and a fancy 18th century hat on. The caption for this reads, "Bat costume designed by Charles Britton for the Missing Links theme, Mystic Crew of Comus, 1873, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." The first title of this 1873 parade was "Missing Links to Darwin's Origin of Species," and its satire bristled against the post-Civil War changes in the South. Michael Taylor describes his identifiable characters on the Louisiana State University Special Collections site. Ulysses S. Grant, for example, has been crossed with a caterpillar and lounges on a leaf, smoking on a cigar. General Benjamin Butler, the despised commander of the Union Army in New Orleans during the Civil War, is shown in another cartoon, dining with a party of bears and hyenas. The parade's political barbs did not go undetected, and it was ultimately blocked by police from crossing Canal Street. Among the costume designs that survived the Carnival collection is Darwin himself as an ass, and one of the gorilla playing the banjo, a racist caricature that ridiculed the humanity of black people at a time when Reconstruction amendments were constitutionally affirming their rights. Within the Carnival whimsy was the use of its subtleness to elevate white Southerners as kings and queens, with finery and balls that excluded non-white participants. Below this is an image of a donkey human carrying a bouquet of flowers, wearing butler gear and a fancy hat. The caption for this reads, "Darwin as an ass costume designed by Charles Britton for the Missing Links theme, Mystic Crew of Comus, 1873, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." Significantly, in an era of male-dominated arts, several women were leaders in Carnival designs. Born in Georgia, the prolific Jenny Wilde brought a lavish Art Nouveau elegancy to her illustrations for Comus and Mamas. For the 1902 Lord Byron-themed floats for mamas, she envisioned his metaphysical poem Manfred with a mermaid, whitefish spirits, and the lurking specter of death in the form of a skull, the prisoner of Chillon, has a lonely bearded man chained in a Gothic dungeon swarmed with bats with one giant winged mammal acting as the eerie float's prow. Below this is two images of those floats, the first one including lots of blue and red and yellow colors, with fairies and saintesses all around. On one side, on the right, is a mermaid under the sea, and in the middle is an angel in spirits floating in the middle over a star. On the left are spirits, seeming to wait for death, with skulls at the very bottom. The caption for this reads, "A Vision of Manfred float designed by Jenny Wild for the Byron theme, Knights of Monmouth, 1902 Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." Below this is an image of the lonely man, chained to columns in a dungeon, with water swirling around his feet, waiting for his death. The caption for this reads, "The Prisoner of Chillon, designed by Jenny Wild for the Byron theme, Knights of Monmouth, 1902 Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." For Comus' 1911 familiar quotations, she positioned couples on the "What are the wild waves saying" float, gazing at the torrent of water from the pearlescent shells and butterflies, gargantuan poppies, a sea of serpent and botanical forms, swept in a current of foliage on such stuff of dreams made of. Below this are the two images of those floats, the first one including two massive iridescent shells surrounded by water with two couples in the middle. The caption for this says, "What are the wild waves saying?" Float designed by Jenny Wild for the familiar quotations theme, Mystic Crew of Comus, 1911, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University. Below this is an image of two people in the middle of a green grass surrounded by flowers and design, with a huge dragon-like creature hanging onto the grass and flowers above it. The caption for this reads, "Such stuff as dreams are made of." Float designed by Jenny Wild for the familiar quotations theme, Mystic Crew of Comus, 1911 Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University. In his 2001 book, Mardi Gras Treasures, Costume Designs of the Golden Age Note Cards, Henry Schlinder writes that Wild was fascinated throughout her career with the painting and literature of the symbolists and the decadents, with the chimeras and operative grandeur of Gustave Moreau and Gustave Flambeau. The sensually tinted words of Pierre Loti and the Babylonian apocalypse of Jean Rochette-Grosse, nurtured in this otherworldly splendor, Wild in turn called forth visions of exotic temples and molten clouds, bowers of gigantic flora and enchanted beasts. In 1913, Wild died at the age of 48 while on a trip to England. Her final designs for Tale from Chaucer appeared in 1914, debuting the very night she was interred into New Orleans' Metairie Cemetery. In addition to Wild, there are several other women who had a major role in carnival art. Carlotta Bonacase created dazzling scenes with an air of science fiction, such as the 1886 parade Visions of Other World for Crew of Protus, with lightning-wielding extraterrestrials riding on a comet. 6 armed beings wandered a Saturn covering with prickly cacti and a desolate moon where wizened creatures seemed frozen in gray craters. Below this is the 3 images of those, with the first one including 4 figures on a comet riding through space with lightning bolts in their hands. This reads, "Comet, float designed by Carlotta Bonacase for the Visions of Other Worlds theme, Crew of Protus, 1886, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." Below this is cacti people surrounded on a cacti island, grabbing around with 6 arms each and 2 legs. For this it reads, "Saturn float designed by Carlotta Bonacase for the Visions of Other Worlds theme, Crew of Protus, 1886, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." Below this is an image of 4 people standing in craters, with the last 4 craters spewing water all over the place. The caption for this reads, "The moon float designed by Carlotta Benacase for the Visions of Other Worlds theme, Crew of Protus, 1886, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." Later, Senelia Bauer Alexander decked out the Crew of Rex with an Aurora Borealis float in 1912, and an ethereal angel costumes in 1920, and in the 1920s and 30s, Lita Hinks Planche sketched feathered serpents and Don Quixote scenes for the Crew of Protus. Below this is an image of a serpent covered in rainbow and flowers with two birds flying around its head. The caption for this reads, "The feathered serpent float designed by Lita Hinks Planche for the Fair God theme, Crew of Protus, 1926, Carnival Collection, Louisiana Research Collection, Tulane University." The Great Depression effectively ended this period of no expense spared Mardi Gras, yet its spirit of visual exuberance thrives into the 21st century. The papier-mâché, wood paint, and maybe a few fake jewels used to turn an ordinary person into a graceful half-human, half-butterfly, and a horse-drawn cart into a wonderland endure in the spirit of carnival creation. As the annual Bacchanal parades, processions, and parties continues in New Orleans, there are still a few threads to follow back to these artists who shaped fantasies into reality.